All right, guys, we got a full-fledged ice storm going across parts of Iowa, also some ice into Nebraska, some snow, and we're looking at the potential for an East Coast snowstorm. We're going to dive into what it's going to take to get that over the next week. We've got a huge storm in the west. It's going to drop up to 2 feet of snow into parts of the Tetons, and that's going to kick east as we head through next week. Hey guys, thanks for making me part of your day. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm Travis Roberts. I used to be a chief meteorologist years ago on television, but now we're doing these videos on YouTube. So we do forecast analysis, just like this map right here. We go through what's going on. If you think you'd like that content, especially as we go into winter, right? Because you guys know that are watching the channel, we get all of these crazy winter storms and pieces of energy. I like tracking it. So if you'd like to follow along, I hope you will. This is the one we're tracking today that's moving through the Rockies. It's bringing some snow here. It's going to kick out into the plains. And as it does so, it's going to bring some warm air north, and we're going to get the ice here. This is going to move toward the Great Lakes. Warmer temperatures across the Northeast, warmer than what we've seen. Now, these are anomalies. Don't misinterpret what you're seeing here across Southeast Canada. This is height anomalies. That's what we're looking at in the upper levels, not necessarily temperatures. But temperatures are related to what's going on here. And then we've got this next piece of energy that swings through the central part of the country. It's going to bring some snow here. And then what happens heading into late next week? The European, maybe not as bullish as dropping this upper low. In fact, it tries to cut this low off and then move it up the coast, and then boom, put you a snowstorm here somewhere. Does that happen? Let's wait and see. It's something we're going to dig into a little bit more here in just a second. Let's quickly go through the radar. We've got the showers across Texas today. There's your snow across the Rockies. We've got this moisture moving north into some cold air, and there's your ice that we're expecting across Iowa. Freezing rain starts to pick up across Iowa as we move into early Saturday morning. It could be heavy at times. There are ice storm warnings up, winter weather advisories, a slew of those for sleet, snow, ice, freezing rain, you name it. We're probably going to see it. And then as it moves toward Wisconsin, we sort of lose that warm air nose. So you got more of just a rain to snow issue here. But it looks like it's going to stay mostly snow for Green Bay, then back over to rain. And then here comes our next system moving into the far west. Snow total's not a lot here, but the ice could be significant, up to a quarter of an inch, maybe more, especially right here in central Iowa. Central and eastern Iowa looks to be the bullseye for the most ice out of this system. Overall, across the east, not looking too bad. A little cold, though, especially across northern parts of New England. Here comes our next system. That's going to bring some rain, some snow, maybe some freezing rain to start in parts of Michigan, also across the southern Appalachians, some freezing rain, sleet, maybe even some snow to start across Pennsylvania too here. And then that warm air gets scoured out here, and we start to see things transition over to rain. Now we're moving into Monday. Our front coming through here, the Midwest and down into the south. It's going to bring another round of rain. It sort of washes out across the south, not as much rain here. And then still warm enough that we could see a mix of rain and snow showers behind this system. Not a huge cool down. And now we're watching what's going to happen with our next piece of energy that moves toward the east. Let's quickly look across the west. That's where our system is going to be originating. We've got some heavy snow back here, especially into the Sierra, up into the Cascades, in the Intermountain West. I talked about the Tetons, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. We're going to see some heavy snow out of this, 1 to 2 feet in some cases. I think maybe even locally higher amounts, especially over the next couple of days, because we've got another storm on this one's heels. There's the rain we talked about in the east, and here comes the energy that I'm watching across the south. Once our front pushes through, you've got a piece of energy dropping in the upper levels here from the west. I'm going to show you some vorticity maps here in just a second. Those pieces of energy, they show up better there. But here's the idea. Low pressure developing somewhere here. You've got your upper low hanging back here across Mississippi. And now your trough is swinging here through the Midwest and the northern plains. It could bring some light snow here. But the question is, can this piece of energy and this phase and come together and develop a snowstorm for the Northeast? All right, so the latest European says probably not. It's moving it up the coast. It does try to blow it up once it gets here into the Northeast, and it's got your heavy snow back into Canada. This would put some heavy snow into Toronto, Hamilton, up to Montreal, I think. This would put your big axis of snow really right in here. Does this happen? I don't know. The fact that it's showing up is interesting. Again, that's how I hope you'll come back and subscribe. I will be tracking it day by day. We'll be following it very closely over the next week. Here's the GFS. It's a bit of a different story. It has more of an anti-front situation where your front moves through, it gets slowed up, low pressure develops along that front and then moves north, sort of your rain to snow situation, kind of like what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. The difference in the GFS, it doesn't have two pieces of energy. It just has more of a trough swinging through and then low pressure forming on the coast and then blowing up, whereas the European kind of just has this upper low sitting here. Again, these upper lows are super hard to forecast. I'm backing this up because I want to show you where the energy is. It's way out west, really almost offshore at this point. So it's hard for these models to take into account where this is going to end up going. But there's your upper low cutting off across the south. Here comes the energy to the north. The European wants to hold this back a little bit. Again, upper lows are hard to forecast, and then phase this together, and boom, now you got a big snowstorm going here. I'll be tracking it over the next couple of days. I think it's something worth watching. And then beyond this, what happens? Are we going to get a white Christmas? Well, I don't know. I mean, come on, if we're this far out, who really knows? Odds are always a little low for seeing that. But we do have some cold air starting to move into the central part of the country, heading into the 24th and 25th. At least it looks that way. And what I think could be your chances for snow. Notice we don't see this. I mean, don't get me wrong. You get a big trough in the east, or you have something like that in the west, you're probably going to be cold enough for snow. But now you've got these little anomalies going on here. Is that enough to give somebody a surprise snow here at Christmas? I don't know. Maybe. We'll wait and see. And you know, we really could use some precipitation, especially here in the Northeast, regardless if it's rain or snow. I know we just got a lot. This would be valid on the 10th. We had quite a bit of rain recently. Yeah, it's still very dry here, not just here, but in many areas. So precipitation certainly needed. This is the U.S. monthly drought outlook. You can see the drought expected to persist here. Again, this is based on some of your longer range forecast. Temperature outlook over the next 6 to 10 days. This was interesting, I think, to look at anyway. Near normal temperatures across the east. What does that mean? I mean, think about it. It's usually cold this time of month, right? This would be valid the 18th through the 22nd. And then we go out a little bit further than that. Yeah, colder than average. At least it looks that way across the southeast. Is this setting us up? I mean, look at this valid period, the 20th through the 26th, for maybe some kind of cold-ish weather for Christmas. I don't know, but they're definitely showing above normal temperatures across the west. That tells me that that ridge that I've been looking at in the upper levels, they're seeing at the Climate Prediction Center too. And that might mean our temperatures go a little bit above average. And I mean above average in the west, below average in the east. And then I'm going to take it out a little bit further here. You don't have the dates here, I know, but this would be heading into January, the long-term European weeklies. This would be January 8th. Okay, so showing a bit of a trough in the east. You're ridging in the west, looking like it's trying to persist. At least it looks like it's trying to. And zooming out a little bit further, this shows you that ridge up across Alaska, your low here, with your trough pattern developing across eastern Canada. This, to me, would show colder weather on the way for January. Doesn't mean we get big snowstorms. This would be taking it out all the way through the 10th of January. Now we're around the 13th and heading into the 15th and 16th. I mean, the weeklies, anyway, are trying to show a big cold outbreak for the country. Still way too early. We're looking at January 17th, right? It's over a month away. And when you look at these long-term outlooks, you're not certainly looking at a specific date for specific weather. You're looking at the trend. And the trend, to me, I mean, I may go down with the ship, looks cold in January. All right, that's all I got. Sometimes I do multiple updates. I'll know one thing. If I see a big change or I think there's starting to be a trend, I'll certainly give you another update today. If not, I will see you tomorrow.